Imagine a world where zombies have taken over and are wreaking havoc on the streets, eating people alive. This scene will be no less than a nightmare for most people, but for this man, all this is not that shocking because his life was already going on like a zombie. Every day the same routine. Work, then go home and sleep for a bit, and the next day again the same cycle. It all started 3 years ago when she joined her dream job. At that time it seemed that life was now settled. The people in the office were friendly. The environment seemed positive, and on the very first day he met a beautiful girl, Sayori. It seemed as if everything was going in the perfect direction, but the real world is not always like fantasy. Everything changed one day after an office party. The rest of the employees suddenly started behaving like zombies. Just work on work without emotion. After that day he spent 2 nights in the office without going home, and he too was not allowed to go home for 2 days. That was the moment when he thought this company was just using him. When Tendo wakes up the next morning, he doesn't feel any excitement or passion for his job, but he has studied this field till university, so he feels that it is his duty to complete it. The company also has some good policies, like vacation days which can never be used, unpaid overtime, underpaid workers, and a boss who always yells, and possible health problems that no one cares about. Others. Tendo's health starts deteriorating over the years. Xavier's stress and fatigue begin to break down his body, but the boss increases his workload even more. As if you are not even looking at his condition, there is only one thing that is making Tendo feel alive: the thought of Savari and the hope that maybe someday we will get a chance with her, but each passing day becomes more unbearable. Now even the CEO has started targeting Savari, and seeing this, Tendo's last bit of sanity also goes away. Now he doesn't understand why he's still here. Why is it working? He has become so mentally broken that one day he walks in traffic without thinking. Maybe a car hits and it's all over, but even that was not written in his destiny. He cannot even take another job because he feels that the situation will be the same everywhere, and if he leaves, it will become worse for his fellow employees. In the 3rd year, there is so much pressure on Tendo that the condition becomes so bad. Once he even tried to commit suicide by going in front of a train just so that he doesn't have to go to work. His life was now completely going on like a zombie. Now his mind is stuck in only one loop. Work, 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 and work again. Everything is starting to seem black and white, as if there is no color left in life. When he wakes up the next morning, he gets a mini panic attack just at the thought of work. Still wears clothes mechanically, picks up his bag, and leaves for work. But as soon as he comes out of the house, his eyes fall on the mailbox. There is a letter lying there. Then he remembers that he has not paid for his parking pass. He immediately goes towards the building manager's room, thinks he will go there and explain, knocks on the door. No answer. But the door is slightly open. He goes inside slowly, but the scene that unfolds is something else. The building manager, whose head is stuck inside someone else's. Stuck. In shock, he immediately runs away from the room, tries to go out of the building, but there are other zombies out there. In panic, he runs up the stairs, and at that moment too he has only one thought in his mind: if this goes on, I'll be late for work. But then a plane is seen falling from the sky. Absolutely silent shock. And then he has a realization. All those bosses, all those authorities who had made his life a living hell, everyone is dead now. Let him go to work. Not required. Now he doesn't need to impress anyone. Colors have returned to his life again. He sits on a rooftop and thinks that now he has free time, he can do everything. Then he thinks about Savari and wonders if she is okay, and gets ready to confess to her, even if it means dying for him. What difference does it make to him that she was the CEO's side check? That fat boss who can't even run must be dead. Thinking this, he went on his bicycle aboard the train so that he can find out his house. But when he reaches there, he finds the boss's shoes there, and he has become a fat zombie. So he takes advantage of this and speaks directly. I'm quitting this job moat, and throws it out the window. Sadly, Savari was there too, and she too had become a zombie. With eyes filled with tears, he confesses his feelings to her in order to lighten the burden within, and then immediately runs away to avoid eating. That night he thinks that now what should he do? In this condition of the world, he can die any time. Therefore he should take full advantage of it. Thinking this, he makes a bucket list of things that he has to do before he dies. The next day, Tendo has a nightmare about his hellish working conditions and wakes up screaming, but she is relieved when she realizes that her world is much better now that it is a zombie apocalypse, and she's prepared for it. With a new passion that he now has to live life is left. He finally cleans his room. After a whole year, he takes out a beer from the fridge and completely feels its taste. And this was his first beer of freedom. At the same time, it is being shown on the news channel that there is devastation in the city. There is fire everywhere, and the newsroom is also in danger of being overrun. But amidst all this, a news lady is still standing at her work, reporting amidst fear. But all this does not last long. It also gets closed due to the attack of zombies, and he knows that objectively the world has been ruined. But right now his only plan is to drink beer and relax in return for those years of torture. But as he goes to get another beer from the fridge, a bitter truth awaits him. He's out of beer, and this is the worst thing that can happen to him today. He just wanted to lie down peacefully, but now he will have to go out to get more beer, and this journey will not be easy. But can such a lazy day really happen? He may not have any beer to drink. That's why no matter how much he wants to rest, he has to do it. While he is stuck in his moral dilemma, there is a couple in the other room who are very scared of this apocalypse, just like any normal person would. The boy tells the girl that if we stay here for one more day, then maybe someone will save us, but no one is going to save them. The boy goes to the balcony and prays that someone will come to help them, and as he says this, he notices Tendo coming down from a pipe is happening. The boy gets scared and immediately says come inside as long as it is safe, but Tendo is absolutely quiet, says I am fine, just going to the supermarket to buy some things. He then casually introduces himself as their next door neighbor. The boy is shocked by Tendo's nonchalant attitude. Guy hanging from a pipe in full chill mode. Then he tells his name is Kasaka. Tendo tries to do a little better now, and since he was going to the supermarket, he would casually ask, need some noodles, toilet paper. When Tendo goes out on the road like the wind, on his bicycle, zombies start getting attracted towards him, and within a short time they start chasing him. At that moment he realizes that if he is surrounded, then his death here is certain, but today living without beer is not an option for him. So it is necessary to take this risk. He finally reaches a supermarket outside, which is Upton does not pay attention because his entire focus is on only one thing. Bear breaks the door and enters and starts shopping while singing the Bear song. Then his eyes fall on a girl who is standing near the fridge. At that moment he feels an instant cringe at the song sung by himself. He pretends that nothing happened, tries to remain normal, but the girl doesn't say anything, and when the awkward silence goes on too long, Tendo tries to talk, but the girl passes by him without saying anything. He desperately tries to give his contact information, but then finally the girl says that you risked your life just for a few beers, and at such a time you did not even pick up water, and she thinks that a boy who does not show understanding at such a time is just a burden, and worst of all, he did not even close the door properly. Now the zombies are moving. Tendo tries to appear before the girl to save her, but girl him. She pulls back and suddenly a truck breaks through the wall and the zombies are crushed by it just by a tremendous coincidence. Tendo is saved by this instant miracle, but he also learns some valuable lessons from it. Don't do anything before analyzing the risk and always keep the door closed. He hopes to meet the girl again someday, but now is not the time for emotional connections. His bicycle has been destroyed by a truck and now zombies are moving towards him, no way to escape. He cannot see, but then his eyes fall on a scooter. He has found a new way to escape. The ride has been upgraded, and in this new mode an idea comes to his mind. It was rush hour when apocalypse started, so there would be thousands of abandoned cars on the roads that probably still had kisses in them. Maybe I'll find something even better, and as he's thinking this, he looks around the corner and now he has a banging car. He finally reaches his apartment and meets Kasaka, stops at the flat. But what he finds, there is only a blood-soaked scene, and at that moment he feels that perhaps he will never be able to meet Kasaka again. That night one thing lingers in his mind. Anything can happen anytime, but even if it is so, he wants to live to the fullest and do everything that he could never do due to work. He goes into deep thought and writes a plan of everything he wants to do the next day, but to observe them he has to go down so that he can collect data. That's why she had gone to the supermarket earlier, where she meets Tendo. She is already in the market analyzing the crashed truck and Tendo. Then she watches the footage of Tendo that she recorded and thinks that maybe his method is a little less. No. A little girl is crying over the death of her father among other survivors. The club manager tries to handle the girl and says you have done very well so far. But while he's talking, one of his men arrives and tells him that the zombies are back. The manager tells the girl that you have to do something and I will come back. They go out with a bang to face the zombies and save those left in the club. Meanwhile, Tendo is living his best life with his new motorcycle. It happens. He comes to Shinjuku district to find his best friend Kacho. A while ago, Tendo was trying to grow a cool beard, but in his attempt to hurry up, he started drawing with marker, which didn't look exactly how he wanted. Then he removed his beard and shaved. He thinks what to do today. Then he realizes that his phone is receiving messages. He jumps with joy, meaning the internet has started working again. For the last 3 years since he started working, he has had his old. There was no chance to talk to friends. Now he wants to catch up with them. He sends messages to all his friends and waits for replies. But gradually he understands. The internet is running because there is very little network traffic. This means most of his friends are no more. Thinking this, his heart becomes a little heavy. He spent all those years working overtime instead of hanging out with friends, which was so wasteful. He scrolls through his contacts and finds one of his. The friend looks at Kacho. He knows that Kacho is a fighter. Therefore, it is impossible for him to even think that he will die like this. Meanwhile, Kacho was just about to die. He was trapped in this room for 3 days, with only water and the hallway so full of zombies that he had no way to escape. And to top it all, he was stuck with this zombie woman. He was sitting there, was thinking that maybe this is the end of his life. Her life was flashing before her, and she was remembering her college days with Tendo at the time. Tendo actually called Kacho, and Kacho was very shocked to see the call. Tendo asks his location, and Kacho tells him he is in Shinjuku, but it was difficult for Tendo to reach there without getting eaten by zombies. Still, this did not stop him, so Tendo set out towards Shinjuku. On the way, he remembers that he used to meet Kacho for drinks, but in reality Kacho was a successful real estate contractor with good salary, praise from bosses, and a true love life. Kacho has once told Tendo that maybe he should quit his job, but at that time Tendo was in such a deep rabbit hole that he did not understand this, and he got angry at her. Their little hangout ended quickly. Tendo has never been able to apologize, and now he is ready to do so. Meanwhile, the previous manager had to face his final moments. As the zombies slowly approached him, he waited for death, but a car horn coming from one door was enough for him. Zombies distracted, and he was saved. This horn sound also attracts the zombies who were holding Kacho in his room. That's why Kacho is finally able to break his bonds and move forward when he sees that the zombies have gone a little distance. Then Tendo comes and shouts and apologizes that he did not listen to Kacho's advice earlier and kept his distance out of jealousy. But their shouting attracts the zombies again, and both of them have to go to the rooftop. After reaching there, they understand that zombies are attacking them, have come back, meaning now he is trapped. Kacho thinks that maybe this is the end of them, but Tendo doesn't let him lose just like that. Tendo says they have to jump between the rooftops. Kacho does not believe that he will be able to make such a big jump. Tendo jumps first and succeeds. Now it's Kacho's turn, and he also apologizes to Tendo for making him feel jealous earlier. The truth is that he hated his job. A fraudster who used to trap people in bad contacts. That's why he loves good things. He used to make fun to save himself from his guilt. But actually he always wanted to be a stand-up comic. Worse, Tendo tells him it's not too late, and Kacho realizes now is not the time to give up. He runs, jumps, and for some strange reason takes off all his clothes on the way. The jump is not completed, so he is hanging from a high ledge, but Tendo catches him in time. The biggest problem occurs when it hits the balls directly, then both through the night, drink completely naked, like every real homie does. The next day, Tendo is on the roof for playing zombie video games, but as soon as he dies in the game, he immediately returns back to the same swing where he was lying before. Kacho is cooking for him, and the food turns out to be the best thing Tendo has ever tasted. Even though he becomes quite happy with the food, he says that Kacho seems to be an expert in every task. That's why he always remains popular among girls. But Kacho says that such cooking skills are normal, and Tendo's lack is probably because his love life never got settled. Tendo swears he's going to date someone today, but suffice to say his options don't seem right at all. Later, Kacho is looking at Tendo's list. She looks a bit unrealistic. Seriously, what are the chances he'll meet a flight attendant during the apocalypse? Much less that he'll get the chance to be blind and dying. Proper cosmic for this. Need alignment and a miracle, but Tendo will still do what his heart desires, no matter how unrealistic it may seem. Kacho says okay, but the list doesn't even have 100 things yet, so Kacho proclaims his dream of becoming a stand-up comic, and in order to do so, Tendo will have to do the same. But because Tendo has saved his life, Kacho is ready for anything, whatever Tendo can think. So both of them sit on the bike and go out to buy TV. But before they get there, they meet a flaming dead end. One of the firefighters there has also turned into a zombie, and things get even worse when a truck is headed towards them. Kacho is absolutely freaking out. Tendo has a flashback. What happened during the beer run? And then a crazy idea of tanker jumping comes to his mind. Yes, crazy idea, but the tanker explodes from behind, as if there had been an explosion in a storehouse of fire. The fire spreads so fast that they have to enter the underground mall just to escape alive. But there are zombies everywhere inside, and there is no way out. So without thinking, both of them jump off the motorcycle and run towards a nearby store whose door is slightly open. The zombies are after them, but they enter the store and the door slams shut. Let's do it. As a zombie's fingers, and then a flashlight lights up. Both of them turn and see her standing in front. 3 girls and a man who is silent out of fear. Those people are a little defensive at first. They are afraid that Tendo and Kacho might be infected, but when both say that it is safe, Kacho jumps with joy. The girl can't understand why Kacho is so happy when there are zombies roaming around everyone, but at least it's a convenience store, and one thing's for sure, those guys not going to die of hunger soon. If they have to get out of this situation, then it is clear that this work will not be done through consciousness but through the mind. Everyone starts looking for some snacks and beers inside the store, and then sits at one place and starts sharing. Then a girl casually asks, "Can both of you introduce yourself?" Kacho in a chill mood tells his name and also Tendo's, but the man sitting in the corner still looks confused. He looks at the girls and asks, "Do you all know each other?" The girls introduce themselves a little tensely. "I am Raka, it is. Mother's and this Yukari Kancho asks, with interest, "How do you guys know each other?" Reika replies, "We work together. Our flight had just landed in Japan," meaning flight attendants. And then it all started. Kacho's eyes light up after hearing the flight attendant. And at that moment, realization hits Tendo. This is golden chance. The wine and dine flight attendant immediately. He looks like everyone is clearly upset. The tension is high, and at that very second, he also realizes that he has no chance to take advantage of this moment. He goes to Yukari and tries to talk to her, but brother, his skills in such matters are absolutely zero. He thinks what to do now and looks towards Kancho for help, but Kacho is already there in full charm mode, impressing Maki. As Tendo stands and watches her magic work, Kacho looks at him like a vicious person, gives smile, just to burn it. Tendo tries to be funny in confusion and drinks the entire bottle of beer, and everyone just goes into party mode. Later, Tendo is cleaning his stomach. When Yukari comes to see him, he thinks maybe he still has a chance. Rika is still drinking and vents her anger on the man who is hiding in a corner out of fear. Then we learn this horrifying truth. The man had already been bitten by the zombie, but he didn't tell anything to anyone. While Raka continues talking nonsense, the man comes out from below. She thinks maybe he's trying to force himself on her, but she won't let him do it. But in reality, he had already become a zombie, and now his actions were no longer under his control. Her screams echo throughout the store, waking up Kacho and Maki. Maki is so distracted that she doesn't even care about the scream she just heard. Tendo is still in the bathroom with Yukari. He tries to talk to her politely, but Yukari clearly refuses and says that she already has a boyfriend. Kacho and Maki go down to check on Raka. Maki still seems to be a little unconscious, but as soon as they both see Reika turning into a zombie, Raka suddenly attacks Maki and tears off her face. Then she tries to attack Kacho, but Kacho immediately picks up a suitcase and breaks his legs. But that old man is not there. Upstairs, Tendo and Yukari are talking about their jobs, when both are creating an emotional connection while talking from the heart about their dreams. But then the same old man suddenly comes down the stairs and bites Yukari. Tendo reacts immediately and pushes him down the stairs. But he doesn't want to leave Yukari there, but he has no way because she will soon turn into a zombie and the old man still alive. Tendo runs away with tears in his eyes and meets Kacho, who has a surprise for him. He would have picked up a flat screen TV and mission complete. The two get on a motorcycle and leave while Tendo thinks about what just happened. He decides that he will always remember his dream and writes it down in his list. When Tendo was younger, he was exactly like young John Wick, fighting with upperclassmen had become his daily morning routine, and this all just for one dog. He felt like a superhero at that time. But then reality broke his dream. Later, Kacho checks the news and confirms that Japan has been completely destroyed, but there is still a ray of hope left. The military has secured some isolated villages in the mountains. Hearing this, Tendo has only one thought in his mind. My family can be safe because they live in one of the most closed villages in Japan. After a while, when Tendo is coloring Kaicho's hair for his new beginning, he announces, "I am going to be John Wick." Yes, Tendo is now going to be a man who will save people from zombies. Kancho is in a bit of doubt as they do not have any guns or weapons, but Tendo already has a plan and adds a new item to the list to become a superhero. Later, Tendo and Kaicho leave for the aquarium on their next mission, but as soon as they reach there, the place becomes absolutely scary. Looks like the entire aquarium is in ruined condition. All the workers have left it. Nearby fish tanks are half empty and some are just silent. They look at the place. Tendo searches for something for a while and then finds something that is an important part of his plan. The scene shifts. On the other side, a bus full of people is stuck in a traffic jam. The driver explains calmly to the passengers, "Now we have to wait a bit until the zombie group leaves from here," and they gives peace to everyone. "Don't worry, we are in a sealed bus. No one can come inside." But due to the mistake of one person, now the passengers of the entire bus have to save their lives, and one by one everyone is becoming a victim of zombies. One girl is still alive and runs in a panic towards the aquarium. She thinks that if I somehow reach inside, then maybe I will be saved. But at that very moment she stumbles and falls, and from behind comes a fast-running zombie, exactly like Usain Bolt is running towards him. That girl is now about to become his victim, but then Tendo comes running from inside the aquarium and pushes the zombie aside, and the zombie falls about 10 meters away. This was his secret weapon. He had picked up a shark suit from the aquarium to protect himself from zombie bites. If shark's teeth can't pierce that suit, then zombie's teeth definitely can't. And with this he completed the first step of his superhero goal. He some other people around, notices those who need help and asks them to go inside the aquarium and stay safe. She also finds her second crush among the same people. But he has no time to think about it because Bolt is back for round 2. The suit protects from bites, but it still hurts. When Tendo falls on the ground bolt starts weighing on him, and Kacho just says, "Save your life. First brother, become a hero later." Tendo finally pushes the zombies off the bridge, gives them away and drops them in the river. Thanks to his hardcore physical training, he got out of this problem. When he returns to the aquarium, Kacho welcomes him as if he had never left him alone. Later, Tendo goes to talk to his crush just to talk casually, but that girl sets his entire life on fire. Every line was an attack. Poor Kacho tries to save his honor, but brother, the roasting was so fast that nothing was left. Shortly thereafter, a loud crash is heard throughout the aquarium. Tendo and Kacho decide to see what happened. But when they reach the real cause of the crash, they discover something horrifying. The zombies couldn't find any swimmers, so they called in a shark. The shark starts chasing them and they immediately run away to warn others. Tendo tries to become zombie again, but then he realizes that there is a shark which also has eggs. They get trapped in a room where there are more zombies and everyone starts running towards the emergency exit. But then a girl falls for Tendo's crush without even thinking, stops for a moment. Then out of fear she pushes him aside, and now Tendo's crush is most likely left alone in front of that zombie. Seeing this, Kacho wants to run to save him, but the door is so crooked that it cannot open. He looks around for Tendo to ask what to do now, but Tendo has already run away to help. On the other hand, Tendo's crush is facing a big shark. At that time, she is just cursing herself. I wish he had realized earlier that it is never safe to be with large groups during a zombie chase. She accepts her death. But Tendo didn't. He jumps from the air vent and directly attacks the shark. That girl gets shocked. He doesn't believe that Tendo would risk his life. He has come to save her, and that too after the insult he had done to her. She wonders what was the reason for coming back. But it is not necessary for Tendo to have a reason to help someone. He only does what his heart says. She is surprised by Tendo's courage and asks him if he has a plan, but Tendo wouldn't have thought of anything until now. As they both start running away, she thinks of an idea. Sharks are sensitive to electric charges. If they are given a shock, they may be confused. They go and are unable to attack. While they are distracting the shark, Tendo is knocked unconscious after being hit by a collision with a wall. Kacho gets worried and wonders how to save Tendo before he becomes a victim of the shark. Then he makes a foolproof plan. He tries to attract the shark by showing him his backyard. But as soon as the shark attacks him, regret is clearly visible on Kacho's face. But taking advantage of the distraction, Tendo regains consciousness. Meanwhile, the girl also finds some batteries and tosses them towards Tendo. Tendo understands immediately. He uses them to give the shark an electric shock. The shark is shaken by the shock. After everything goes well, all three together come out of there safely. Coming out, Kacho asks the girl, "Won't you follow those other groups?" The girl says tiredly that she is now fed up with the group. She still doesn't understand why Tendo would risk his life for her, but Tendo smiles and says, "Now you are precious to me, so I will save you no matter what." She feels a little shy after hearing this and finally agrees to give Tendo her contact details. The next day, Tendo arrives at a watch shop and his eyes fall on a Rolex, the same watch which he could never afford. But now that the world has ended, no one can stop me from wearing as many shiny things as I want, he thinks while wearing the Rolex on his wrist. Only then will it become even more expensive. And flashes shows the watch, and I can confidently say that both of them are completely out of their minds at this point. That night, Tendo discovers that they have run out of water and the city is in complete darkness. The phones are still charged, but no news is available because all the stations are closed. Perhaps they are the last people left in the city. That's why zombie apocalypse will have to be taken seriously now. But before the reason is clearly visible. Tomorrow they are going to leave for Gama, Tendo's homeland. The next morning they start packing for their trip and Tendo says goodbye to his old life. Normally it is a 5-hour drive to Gunma, but no one knows what the traffic scene will be like now because it is going to be a long and difficult journey. Kacho asks, "Are you finally going to get a gun for your safety?" But Tendo has something else going on in his mind. If you have to travel, do it in style. So Tendo decides to take a luxury camping vehicle, and by a twist of fate, he also meets Shizuka there. Tendo asks her to go with him, but Shizuka doesn't have a clear plan yet, so she immediately refuses. Kacho, on the other hand, succeeds in talking her out of it and finds out that Shizuka does not have a license. Then they convince her that it would be safer for her to go with them. Then all three go to a car show where they are surprised to see all the cars there won. The army was like a military tank. No specific region just because it looked awesome. Shizuka was still thinking about practicality and was trying to choose something that would run well and have reasonable fuel consumption, but Tendo was totally after the luxury camper he had found. He had found his third love. Shizuka was still on the side of practicality and said that there was no practical way of going anywhere in this camper, but then she sees another army that beats everything she's ever seen. It forces one to question the practical matter which till some time ago was only talking about practicality, now fixated on a design. Seeing this, Tendo and Kacho make fun of him, but she just says it's different. But because of their noise they have faced a big problem. He is surrounded by zombies. They quickly run into a random army and start running. They wondered why the roads were so empty while it is the weekend. Shizuka says that perhaps no one had time to leave the city after the zombie outbreak. He asks, do you know anything about zombies? Shizuka thinks, I think it is a virus. If its vaccine is made, then perhaps the world may get a chance to bounce back. But he also believes that it has no meaning unless we ourselves survive. That evening they were preparing to set up camp, but then they come to the spike strips laid on the road zombie. The worst thing that comes out in Apocalypse are people, and worse. The gang leader turns out to be Tendo's old boss. I think now Tendo might wish that he had taken the gun at Kaicho's insistence. Tendo relives the old pain he suffered with that man. This was his whole plan. He caused them to have an accident so that they would be stuck here, and then he wanted to force Tendo to work for him again. Shizuka does not get angry at Tendo's words, but instead makes him understand that he shows as if he is helping them and saving them from the looters. But in reality he is a robber himself, and says all this with a smile on his face. With no other choice, Tendo has to work for her again, and her pain begins again. Shizuka takes care of Kacho's wound, and Kacho apologizes that he had to come here because of her. But Shizuka explains to her that perhaps this was already part of their plan and they had no other choice. Tendo, he sees that other people are tired of working, but he has nothing to say. When he is carrying equipment, he heads towards a freezer where he places some beers. While keeping it, he thinks that I wish it would become cool for everyone. But at that moment the boss arrives and gets angry because Tendo is wasting his precious electricity. Employee satisfaction for just one small thing. Tendo is gripped by his old pain again, but then more employees would come. And let's look at the beer. Now the boss has no option but to give them, so out of compulsion he pretends to be good. He's still just an exploiter, but here he has all the power, therefore no one can oppose him. At least for now. He has also started using zombies as labor, and tells Tendo to act like a zombie, an equipment that cannot think on its own. This is what happens when there is no labor union. Kacho asks Shizuka that night, have you noticed how strange Tendo is behaving these days? But Shizuka already understands what Tendo's life was like. She knows what it feels like to be in control, and she has also been abused, so she knows that Tendo can no longer find the strength to fight. We then see a flashback to when she was a little girl. While returning home from school, on a rainy day, she notices a small puppy lying in a drenched box. He would have been lying there, not leaving it there. Patty decides to take it home, but when she asks her father for permission to keep the dog, he immediately tells her to leave it or do something with it. He saw no point in taking care of a sick and useless dog. They said that he should go ahead of his friends and not waste his time in childish things like worrying about other living beings. She was only 4 years old. But his dad was teaching him how to be ruthless and calculating, so that if someone is weak tomorrow, he can ignore him without hesitation. Back in the present time, Tendo's boss Gunsu is acting with a cheerful smile. As if everything is perfect, he welcomes Tendo and his team and says that everyone is happy, drinking freely, while in reality, Tendo is doing literal slavery there. Two guys sitting around having fun over chilled beers posing a real question. If you get the chance, would you like to get infected to have a smash with a chubby girl as soon as one of them finishes his beer, and he calls Tendo and chillingly says, bro, get another one, and our guy is an absolute mess right now. He trips over his own feet and the beer spills on the ground. And even though the world is falling apart, some things never change. People still treat the wait staff with the same crappy attitude. Tendo keeps saying sorry while people are yelling at him like he's their servant. Meanwhile, on the other hand, his old boss is serving drinks to an old lady. When he does, he gets completely angry. He screams, I only take drinks from girls with the biggest boobs. So obviously he calls Shizuka and asks her to fill his drink. Despite Shizuka's reluctance, she says yes and does what she said. When the man is staring at Shizuka's body, Shizuka quietly pours the drink in his glass, but then he forces Shizuka to have a glass herself, whereas he is clearly in no mood. Just look further. Licking that man's lips is absolutely obvious. He wants to make the whole scene look like a cheap one. After he finishes his drink, he asks, will you allow me to touch you a little? Shizuka ignores this question and is completely expressionless, so he immediately calls Tendo. He yells at her to get a bottle so that he can give Shizuka enough to drink so that maybe she will find her a little less attractive. But sadly, even alcohol won't be able to fix that face. When Tendo does not respond within half a second, he yells loudly as if his voice is a remote for Tendo. Poor Tendo, between lack of sleep, heat stroke, and everyday yelling, just reacts mechanically and accidentally hands the guy an empty bottle. Gansu's mind literally explodes. He starts yelling at Tendo and spits out at least 6 gallons of spit from his mouth while yelling, just like the missiles and Yet Shizuka, sitting at the table, is just lost. She thinks from the day she was born, her daddy had started teaching her how to become a CEO by taking advantage of the people around her. They were trying to take out her heart and soul slowly, because they felt that a CEO does not need a heart or emotions, but she kept her heart safe and hid her dear friend entertainment in the room under the roof of the house so that he could fix it. She became fully committed and even started reading about animal health so that she could take better care of her friend. After a lot of hard work, she became successful in feeding the entertainer and also got him recovered from his diseases. She was so happy that she finally had a friend to play with. Kashi meant that she had a heart and her dad didn't want her to get caught up in silly feelings or any kind of soft emotions, so he did what he thought was reasonable, killed entertainment. After that, it seemed as if her heart also went away and she started obeying everything her father said. All this was like suffocation for him, but that something couldn't. There was a house, they had rules and it was difficult for him to oppose. In this way she was effectively brainwashed. Had left all my life decisions in father's hands, and now Gansu is doing the same to Tendo by breaking his confidence again and again. Whatever little confidence he had left in himself is being destroyed. When Tendo accidentally spills some canned foods, Gansu immediately starts calling him stupid and useless. Also that he can at least compensate for his mistake. Tendo tries to speak lightly, but Gansu yells at him again, and this time Tendo is completely broken from inside. Seeing his methods work, a small disgusted smile appears on Gusu's face. He enters the final stage of his plan, playing with the mind. He now pretends to be a kind and understanding person so that Tendo will trust him. Says, I am doing all this just for your welfare. He wants Tendo to always to stay there and keep doing the same work, and says that the outside world is very dangerous. There's no telling when a zombie might chew you up. So the choice is simple. Stay in the safe compound and work under Gus or go out and face apocalypse alone. But personally, I would prefer to fight zombies every day instead of working under that walking trash bag. But Tendo has lost a lot of his brain cells after listening to Gusu's voice for so long. Now it has become difficult to understand the difference between right and wrong, and gradually gets carried away by his words. It starts to get dark and Tendo is still outside acting like a zombie. Shizuka is relaxing in the camper when his eyes fall on the bucket list made by Tendo. She reads the list and seeing a dream written on it, she can't stop smiling and secretly adds another item to the list. The next day some people go on a supply run. During the break, one of them complains. Gusu is a leader, but never does any real work, but the other guy is happy, says, at least I'm not being treated like Tendo. Then he shouts at that little guy and says, quickly close the door of the truck before the zombies break in. It's too late. A zombie has already entered the truck. Meanwhile, in the compound, Shizuka and Kacho have packed everything like it was decided earlier, ready to leave, but then Tendo comes out and says, I will stay here. From now on I will work only for the chief. Kacho couldn't believe it. He thinks this. Then someone must be joking. But Tendo is absolutely serious. His mind has been completely manipulated. Now he has started feeling that he is a dumb idiot who cannot survive outside even for a minute. And the way he speaks as if his mind is now being operated by someone else's remote. Shizuka walks away without saying a word. She is prepared to leave Tendo behind if he will not come with them. But Tendo still keeps talking. I have to repay Chief Gansu's favor. Whatever he did for me, I have done it. I want to repay the debt for his kindness. And now he has only one option left. Stay here and keep agreeing to every order of Gansu. Shizuka stops once before leaving. His childhood suddenly flashes in his mind. Her father is her beloved entertainer, and then she sees an older version of herself in Tendo. The version that used to blindly follow commands but has now decided she would never let that version come alive. At wake-up call to Tendo, she gives him what she desperately needed and says, Tendo, Gasu is just using you. He wants you to give up your will, your thinking, everything so that you become just a person who just follows orders without thinking. He doesn't care about you. He just wants one thing: cheap, obedient slave labor. And then the roast begins without any mercy. Looking at his face, it seems as if the person above started creating the character but forgot the rest of the design. Lips are so swollen, as if someone had put a bicycle pump on them, and the eyes as if someone had made permanent eyeliner with tears. His life is so degraded that he feels special only by humiliating others. He wants everyone's life to be as complicated and bad as his own so that he doesn't seem like the only loser. There is silence in the entire compound. Everyone is just watching with wide eyes. Shizuka is playing Gansu's band in front of the public and says, look, I can't say what is the right decision to stay here or leave, but one thing, it is certain that I cannot live with Gansu, neither in his company nor around him. She comes to Tendo, pulls out her bucket list and shows a specific item that Tendo added himself. Gansu sees that she is actually reaching through him, so he tries to stop it. Grabs his notebook from his hand and throws it on the ground. But this was the moment where Tendo lost his patience, because this time it had come down to his list. Tendo somehow manages to get his notebook under Gusu's feet, but to stop him from taking the step, he finally gets up after gathering courage within himself. But he is still very nice. If I were to compare, what would I do? He just says, Kansu, thank you for everything you did, but this place is not mine and I never want to see that horrible face of yours again. Gusu gets absolutely shocked, seeing Tendo's sudden change in self-confidence. Katsu resumes his tricks, says Tendo still owes him, but Tendo answers immediately, I don't even remember the part where it becomes my responsibility. Even if I become a zombie, it would be more useless than working for a zombie like you. And as soon as he says this, the resource collection team comes back, with such swag as if you have brought the antidote to zombies, not ration. But the celebration doesn't last long, as one of the guys is soon killed by a zombie. He gets back on the road and Tendo Full is in excited mode. He has already done more than 30 things on his bucket list. At this speed he will reach 100 before the end of the month, but Shizuka is worried that he might die if that happens. As he moves down the road, he comes across a truck with many zombies piled around it, and that can only mean that there is someone out there who is attracting these zombies. So this means he got his first survivor road, and Tendo is excited to finally be a superhero again that early, puts on his shark suit and gets fully ready for the second hero arc. But the truck door kicks open and the spotlight is snatched away from him. What emerges from a historically accurate samurai jumps 20 feet in the air and starts wreaking havoc on zombies. He does a triple kill with a regular bow. People can't believe what they are seeing, but for Tendo he is full hero level. Samurai takes off his mask to reveal his identity, but she turns out to be a German girl, Beatrix. And as soon as she thanks them for their help, Shizuka is removed from the best girl position. After explaining the entire situation, the group learns that Beatrix came to Japan because she loved the culture there. From historical battles to tentacle hatai, that explains why he had samurai armor. Tendo opens the back of the truck where she was hiding and discovers that it was actually a refrigeration truck with a lot of tuna fish. Beatrix begs them for some understanding, as she has a very important mission that she must complete at any cost, and it requires a moving vehicle, so she asks for their help so that she can deliver the fish to Takasaka. Beatrix seems quite sincere in her requests, so Shizuka thinks that maybe she is transporting food for the survivors to go with her. Tendo sits down in front of him and asks directly, why do you think this fish is so bad? Why deliver? So she starts explaining. He got his first glimpse of Japan through HNK. Since then he worked hard, saved money and struggled to come here so that he could experience Japan with his own eyes. But as soon as she lands and is finally about to experience her dream, the world hits him hard and the zombie apocalypse begins. But she did not want to let her dream die, so he set out to find the last living sushi chef. Started off who was absolutely legit, talented in his work, and he promised Beatrice that if she could get him fresh fish, he would make sushi for her. The only real reason for this was sushi, and lucky Tendo heard sushi and without any second thought went full on into the whole plan. The rest also come along because why not, like, so they all head towards the city to meet Sushi Man. Beatrix leads the way, but is a little worried because she last talks to Sushi Man at 2-3. Day 1, to be honest, he has no guarantee that he is still alive, but his belief in sushi is so solid that giving up hope is not an option. Then they take a turn and see that the entire street is full of zombies, but this obstacle isn't going to stop them from getting sushi. So Beatrix and Tendo both suit up in full hero mode. Both of them are super motivated. But if you are thinking that Shizuka thinks she has a good plan, and the plan was to use the craziest thing to attract zombies. Kacho's backyard plan was working. Zombies were getting attracted to him, so Kacho starts running like crazy to escape from them, and as they are all trapped in a corner, Tendo traps the zombies with a truck. And then Beatrix enters, who starts slicing those zombies one by one. The sound of the car attracts more zombies, and now the real game begins. After gathering all the zombies at one place, they start throwing alcohol bottles at them, and all that remains is to set them on fire. But he had forgotten to check one small thing, whether the matches he had were still working or not. Now the zombies are breaking through the temporary defense and moving straight towards their army. If zombies surround the army, they will neither be able to move nor come back inside, and all the dreams of fresh fish and sushi are over. Tendo won't let that happen at truck. A hike jumps straight towards the zombies to risk his life, because for him it would be okay to become a zombie, but definitely not to miss sushi. And Beatrix also enters the field to accompany Tendo, but now it seemed that things were getting out of hand, and with so many zombies the situation became pretty tight. But Shizuka had a backup plan. She uses a drone and drives back the zombies straight towards the main square. Stop playing those games. It's over. Now he has a full station set up to send fuel-drenched zombies flying. Hatcher throws a bottle filled with fire and the zombies begin exploding like literal fire waxes. As soon as they all start catching fire, and all this group is watching from a nearby rooftop. As soon as all the zombies' work is done, now there is nothing left in their way, and now he can do what he wanted to do all day, filling your mouth with fish meat. The sushi chef was originally from Ghana, but he has spent the last 30 years in just one thing: perfecting the art of serving fish. So when he saw that there were still people who wanted to eat his sushi, his heart was filled with joy. The rest had already started eating, but Bitix was still hesitant in taking her first bite. She picks up the sushi, dips it lightly in soy sauce, and as soon as she takes the first bite, tears come out of her eyes. Seeing this, Sushi Man also starts crying. This moment was just for this. Those exhausting weeks of work, my daughter's wedding, missing him, not going to his wife's funeral, everything was just for this one moment. And yes, I am not kidding. He said so himself. Perhaps at that moment he had realized how sad he had made his life because of his work. And then he announces, "Now that there are no live customers coming back, I will finish all the beer in the store tonight." The next day the gang is back on the road, but this time the ride is quite uncomfortable as the heat wave has literally ruined their journey. Inside, Beatrix continues to complain about the heat. The group had not taken a proper shower for several days, so obviously everyone's smell is now at such a level that even zombies think twice before coming near. So yes, this is going to be a classic bath episode. They all smoothly change into their bathing outfits, and Beatrix once again catches everyone's attention with the power of her beauty, due to her immense love for Japan. Beatrix has very good knowledge about hot springs, but honestly no one even listens to him properly, except the last line in Edo times people used to say that this is the cure for every disease, not just for fools in love. So the matter is simple. All this isn't going to help. Tendo, as the guy is still head over heels for Shizuka, he tries to hit a few lines and wants to give a slight romantic twist to the conversation, but Shizuka remains absolutely calm and sensible. She clearly says that love-related matters are useless. One more thing. While doing so, Shizuka indirectly calls Tendo broke. After a while, Tendo and Hachos jump into the bath. Shizuka gets a little excited after seeing them and decides that now she too will go to the women's bath. But Beatrix comes back, saying there is no hot water there. Looks like the pump in that section is broken. On hearing this, both of them go into thinking mode and say in a very serious tone that looking at the situation, it seems that there is no other option left. Don't get it wrong. There is no excitement in this, so it's okay, now come and join us. But Shizuka understood his intentions, so he immediately refused. Nevertheless, his words reached Beatrix's heart, and without hesitation she agreed to take a bath with him, and seeing this, both of them literally started crying. But before Beatrix can enter, Tendo and Kaicho look back to see that the bath area was actually filled with naked zombie men, so everyone had to run away quickly. He was saved by running away, and luckily some mountain climber zombies were not seen there, so now he was a little safe. But what is the use of being safe when those people could not even enjoy the hot springs? Everyone was crying over their misfortune, but due to fatigue he soon fell asleep. Tendo opens his eyes in the middle of the night. When he is thirsty, he goes out into the forest to search for something to eat and drink. But he finds something even more unexpected, a natural hot spring nestled amidst the mountains in peace and quiet. Without thinking much, he takes off all his clothes and he goes in and drowns in complete relaxation mode. As he is chilling comfortably in the water, suddenly he bumps into someone and loses his senses when he sees that Shizuka is also already enjoying without clothes in the same hot spring. A dreamlike moment, but the turmoil in Tendo's heart still does not calm down. He immediately apologizes for the situation, to which Shizuka says with a slight smile, "No problem," but from her tone it clearly seems that Tendo will immediately must come out. But Tendo turns the tables. "No, I had to spend the whole day having one of these moments and I would rather die than miss it." After a slightly awkward silence, Shizuka softens a bit. She apologizes to Tendo for his slightly harsh thoughts on how relationships work and why he tried to keep her away every time. Since childhood, Shizuka was taught that there are two types of people in the world, one who is always right and the other who is so powerful that we make ourselves right. Her father's only rule was to never lose your position and keep fighting until the other person gives up, and for that one moment, Shizuka goes back to her old habits and doesn't dare to openly say what she really wants to say. Tendo softly points out that Shizuka is feeling honest with her emotions for the first time. Shizuka immediately realizes that he is right, and she says that she wants a partner with whom she can talk openly, but the next moment her face changes slightly as she realizes that she opened her heart to Tendo herself. Tendo smiles slightly and jokingly asks, "So you really want to say what I'm thinking?" Shizuka is about to answer when Kacho and Beatrix arrive. Looking at them, it immediately seems that these two were having fun without them. Without thinking, both of them immediately take off their clothes and jump into the hot spring at full speed. After that everything went wrong. Let's set out towards. Beatrix is a little worried about Tendo's mom and dad's safety, but Tendo confidently says that they will never be defeated by the zombie apocalypse. Maybe due to knee pain, but zombies can't do anything to them. This is for sure. Katja thinks he should find a way to meet him if he is still alive, and the first thought comes to his mind: I get naked. And on hearing this, Tendo immediately drives the RV away at full speed. Then Shizuka asks with a slight smile, "Are you a little nervous?" Because the last time he met him was 3 years ago. Even though he is not feeling nervous, she feels that it would be a bit strange to talk to Dad because last time he had said goodbye in a very strange way. But his thinking stops there when Beatrix suddenly screams loudly, sensing there is a blockage on the road. Tendo immediately stops the RV and goes out to check the roadblock. As he gets closer, he discovers that the tunnel is filled with hundreds of zombies. His village was on the other side of the tunnel. That's why everyone starts worrying that something might have happened to them. But Tendo consoles himself by carefully observing the faces of the zombies because he does not see any familiar faces from his village. So he still has faith in his heart that his village is safe because they cannot pass through the tunnel. They have only one way left the RV and drove through the forest, around the mountains to the village. Arrived, however, Tendo still has no concrete evidence that zombies have taken over his village. Still, doubts have arisen in his mind about his being alive. But Shizuka tells an important thing that the other side of the tunnel was also sealed. This could mean that the villagers have found a way to protect themselves from the zombies coming from the city by trapping them in the tunnel, and then they hear a loud shouting sound from behind them and see a man walking towards them like a madman. Has been running, but this is not the real issue. The issue is the zombie fight pig that is chasing him. Beatrix immediately takes action and thrusts an arrow between the boar's boiling eyes. Humano thanks them for their help and Tendo asks, why did you come here in the first place? He says that he had no choice. His face had been taken over by zombies. So he came here to escape this whole mess. Other people also agree with him, but living alone in the forest doesn't seem like a sensible thing to do. But don't worry. This guy is like Minecraft Steve and can build like him. He is a master carpenter. If he doesn't have a house, he can build one for himself. And Tendo also wants to get in on the action as it was on his bucket list. He tells Kumano that perhaps the reason he was in such a hurry was because he had to complete his tree house. So those people start helping him. It is completely ignored that Tendo actually was going to see my parents. Let's see if he is doing the zombie shuffle, but clearly he is finding this worked too much. Kumano is pleased with their help and begins giving them carpentry lessons as they build. What kind of tree house will be made depends on that tree. Therefore, one has to learn how to ask the tree. If the tree dies, your house will also die. Therefore, whatever is happening around you, you have to pay attention to every small and big thing so that you can keep the tree healthy. Tendo explains that he always had a dream to build a tree house. Hearing this, Kumano remembers his son, but when Tendo asks him about it, Kumano remains silent. Kumano's son had become a zombie due to the bite of his mother, who herself had become a zombie, and he had to kill both of them with his own hands. The most painful thing was that he did not even get a chance to talk properly with his son before he died. But Tendo says, I'm there to support. 4. They keep working on the tree house until it is complete and it looks great. But I definitely wouldn't use a slide that Kancha has already been on. Now that the tree house is built, Tendo and the others continue their journey towards Gunma village, and Tendo shows what his mom and dad used to say when they told how they used to go to school. But even though this trap could kill them too, at least it is clear that no zombie can cross this death trap from here to them. Eventually the village is visible and they proceed through the forest to reach there. As he walks away, Tendo thinks about why he never returned to the village over the years, despite having so many chances. So now he has made up his mind to come back and repay their favor. But when they reach, there is no one there. Absolutely no one. No, Tendo's heart panics. He thinks that maybe zombies have killed everyone, and he starts running around like crazy to find them. And then everyone meets in a small hut while doing something strange. Tendo also finds his mom and dad and immediately starts apologizing to them again and again that he could not do anything for them and did not come to meet them even once for 3 years. But his dad doesn't want to listen to him. He slaps him directly on the head. Then he turns to the others and says, you can stay in the empty rooms as long as you are here. And after saying this, without saying anything else, he leaves towards the fields. Tendo's mom for everyone cooks food by using plants found in the forest. Shizuka is surprised to see how self-sufficient these people are. The village is small and isolated, and during winter they are almost cut off from the rest of the world. That is why they grow most of the things themselves and live on their own. The people of the town had heard that Gunma was a safe place, but once again what some people were hiding revealed that they have already been bitten, spoiled everything. To stop the spread of zombies, the villagers were forced to seal the tunnel for those who are unaffected and have reached the village safely. Some extra houses have been built here where they can live. But amidst all this, Tendo has a mission to help his mom and dad to make up for the time he never spent with them. He starts with his mom by learning how to wash utensils and doing small things for her, but mom just says everything is fine, just do your work, even if he couldn't help mom. Now he also has a chance to help dad. He goes with them to the farm. There is not much talking there, just work quietly. But Tendo also finds this silence quite strange. He starts a light conversation, but his dad only talks about small and boring things. It is difficult for him to talk more casually. Tendo is confused, but his intentions are clear. He is not going to accept defeat. In the evening we see his dad coughing and that blood. This is not a good sign at all, but they pretend. I am absolutely fine. While returning home, he bumps into some people who have come from the city. Tendo thinks he's seen these somewhere before. They are heading straight towards the zombie tunnel and their intentions don't seem right at all. The leader was an average loser. Perhaps he was above average in being a loser. So for him, he couldn't be happy when the world collapsed because it meant he wouldn't follow any rules anymore. So the first thing a hardcore smoker does is like, we'll do it in time. Simply enters the cigarette store and steals. There he meets some other losers whose hair looks as if they have an age-old enmity with the barber. Then everyone together forms a group, which sounds like Tendo's 100 things to do before becoming a zombie. Just a little upside down. I mean completely upside down. The next day we see Tendo trying something new while the girls are experimenting with his hair so he can get the hairstyle that most boys think suits him. Kega will do the curly and long hair. Look later, everyone is taking a tea break, and then it is revealed that the girl who styled Tendo's hair is actually an expert because she has worked in a hair salon for 10 years. So when she heard that Tendo wanted to try this look, she immediately wanted to help. Of the other two girls, one studied in college in Tokyo and the other is a professional makeup artist for movies. Tendo becomes curious when she finds out that he worked on movies and asks which movie, so she shows him the poster of a movie called Song of the Dead. Tendo is a little shocked because he had seen this movie before but did not know that it was shot in Japan. He gets excited and then the girl tells that at that time we were shooting the sequel of this zombie movie, but the zombie incident started in the middle of the shoot, and this was probably not the best place for a zombie attack, because at first everyone thought it was just a prank. But as soon as the blood of the co-workers was seen flowing on the ground, and the worst thing was that no one even had a camera to record all this, then everyone finally understood that this was not a prank. This is real. A lot happened on the way, but when he reached the village, the people there accepted him with open heart, and even if it was just a small wish, that girl wishes I could live here with everyone. In a small hut, Shizuka is trying to light a fire by blowing through a tube. Just then a grandmother comes and says thanks for the work. Grandmother knows that this task will not be easy for Shizuka because it was not a part of her daily life, but Shizuka has no problem. The best way to survive in this apocalypse probably depends on the skills that were used before electricity, and he's honestly quite excited to learn from the people here. Shizuka could not understand much of what grandmother said, but one thing was definitely understood, that the taste of rice cooked on stove fire is different to Shizuka flame. While she is taking care of herself, suddenly an old man's hand falls on her shoulder, and with that touch her entire body becomes numb for a moment. Grandma reacts immediately. She sends the old man out and apologizes to Shizuka. He is a little confused these days, and he had considered Shizuka as his wife who had left this world some time ago, and yes, even though he is a little restless now, he was once the most dependable hunter of the village. Just then a man comes in and asks if she has any bandages or cream she can give because he cut his hand pretty bad while he was outside working with a mower blade. She goes to help him, but Shizuka warns them not to tie the bandage too tightly or that area will die. She also gives some genuinely helpful tips which are useful in controlling bleeding, and everyone thinks that maybe she is a doctor, but she smiles and says that I just wanted to become a doctor in my childhood, so I have studied a little with her. The talks are so useful that gradually everyone starts asking her for help, and without any official title, she becomes the village doctor. On the other hand, Kacho is helping in the fields and is shown a pit, the place where all the waste of the village is collected, which is later used to make compost. In Japan, soil nutrients are repeatedly washed away due to rain, so people are happy that this is a daisy way to get those nutrients back. He says laughingly, if you go into this pit you will get better in life. We'll definitely move forward. But Kacho is not adventurous enough to try this on himself, and then Kacho sees a girl sitting alone, quietly petting her dog. He asks who is she. The man tells that she escaped from the city but lost her parents on the way. Now his dog is his only family, and since then he has not smiled even once. So Kacho decides making her laugh is now his mission. He tries his best in his gimmicky style, but understands that she is still a little. It is a girl, so he takes full care of her comfort. He goes to her and asks, "Would you like to see me dance a little?" The girl gets a little confused. Why is this random guy suddenly talking to her? Kacho smiles and says it is a basic courtesy. Say hello to any lady, be it a little girl or an old auntie. This is quite common in Italy, but the girl does not understand this. Why is Kacho giving these unbelievably? A small smile appears. Mission complete. He introduces himself and asks, "What is your name?" The girl tells that her name is Anju, so Kacho says, "I will call you Angie as a nickname." Now that the two have become friends, Kacho wants to see a fun performance by him in which he will entertain everyone by balancing udon on his ass. Angie laughs and says, "I am not mentally prepared for this." Legendary performance. Beatrix finds water in a corner of the village. A wheel is shown which is used to generate electricity for the entire village. The output is not much but enough for the essentials. But now in recent days, a lot of zombie wild boars and wolves have been seen around the village. Therefore, they had to make the electric fence stronger, which is powered by this water wheel. This fence is to keep out zombies and wolves, and if someone touches it, he will definitely get a slight shock. Here Beatrix should also understand one more thing which is on the box. That point she is pointing to is a safety switch. If ever electricity leaks or the voltage goes beyond the limit, it cuts off the power. So she describes beer. Be careful with it, it can be quite dangerous. Back near Tendo, the girls are talking about how they are slowly starting to enjoy village life. The work here is tough and time-consuming too, but this is why she is able to feel connected with those people who have been doing all this every day. In the evening when Tendo was working in the field, Catcher happens to come to meet her. While Tendo was busy in the fields, Catcher was learning how to cut chicken, and the impact of that experience is still so deep that he can no longer even eat chicken tenders. When both are talking and having fun, Catcher sees a familiar face and calls out to Higurashi as it has been a long time since he last saw him, but Higurashi is not very happy to see them and leaves from there without saying anything. Tendo doesn't recognize him, so Catcher tells him that he is in college, was in his general studies class, but one day suddenly he stopped coming to class. Higurashi can't believe that these two bumped into him here too. Just being there in college was a punishment to him because they had something he never had. A lot of time has passed since their happiness. See those smiling faces, but it doesn't matter. This time everything is perfect for his dark plan. Later that night, Tendo sees his dad out drinking and asks if he wants to join them. Can sit? Because this is a good opportunity to spend time with them. His dad doesn't mind and invites Tendo to sit with him while they look at the stars together. With some hesitation, Tendo says that when he was young he dreamed of city life, but now he thinks that living in the village is not bad. Besides, he is confident that he can contribute by helping in the work here. What he actually wanted to say was that he wanted to stay with his family in the village forever, once. But his dad still doesn't agree that Tendo should limit his life to just a small village. He believes that a man should go out into the world and pursue his biggest dream and pursue it with all his might. Anyway, this is not necessary for now, but he definitely says that Tendo's hair does not suit his look at all. Both of them laugh at this and sit together and drink all night because it was the same bonding moment that Tendo Dill was wanting from. But the good days don't last long because the reject squad has arrived to destroy everything in this village, whatever the people had built together. Now all that will become zombie food, and Higurashi also has a personal vendetta against Tendo. When the villagers are celebrating their normal evening party, then one of them goes out to check and sees that disaster is waiting at the door. Beatrix, Kacho, Shizuka, and Tendo realize that something is seriously wrong. They go out immediately to inquire about their well-being, and there a scary scene is waiting for them. The entire village is filled with zombies. Everyone is in shock. Can't understand how all this happened, but Tendo's dad immediately sets out to handle the situation and goes to find his wife. He also tells Tendo to reach a safe place with his friends. Higurashi and his reject squad are riding on bulldozers, completely safe from the zombies while he is making fun of the villagers after seeing them running for their lives. Shizuka tries to get sick and injured people to safety inside a house, but meanwhile she gets trapped among zombies. But all those people whom he had once helped by becoming a local doctor supported him at that time. Hunting squads load their guns and fire at the zombies and eliminate many of the undead. But when the number of zombies starts increasing, they have to retreat back inside. Higurashi isn't finished with his little game yet, though those some bombs, as the explosive ignites and within a few moments many houses in the village turn into smoke. Shizuka is horrified to see the devastation happening around her. If something is